I must confess that I love to think about heaven, especially when this life becomes tough. I find a lot of comfort in thinking that there's a better place and a better future. To think that there's a place where there is no sickness, death, pain, suffering, crying, taxes, baffles my mortal mind. The Bible says that eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men the things that God has gone to prepare for his people. Jesus told his disciples before he left them that he was going to prepare a place for them and he will return to take them there. Note that he said that he will return for us, not that we are going to go to him at the time of death, a commonly taught misconception. In fact, Paul says that no one will get there before anyone else. We will all go up together. So please don't mess up heaven for those of our loved ones who have died by thinking that they are there presently looking at us and can't do anything about our troubles. The Bible says consistently that they are simply sleeping. But I got a little carried away. I was talking about heaven, not death. So clearly the Bible says that our greatest imagination cannot fathom how beautiful heaven would be. Yet there's no sin in trying. We are given a few glimpses in the Bible, such as a description of this central city, the New Jerusalem, in Revelation 21, with its pearly gates and streets paved with gold, and the tree of life and the river of life. But all of these descriptions are given using earthly metaphors. John the Revelator had to use metaphors in order to help us make sense of something that is beyond our present senses. In fact, in order to appreciate heaven, we will need new bodies and new minds. Many people muse that heaven is here and how best you can make this life, and that it's useless looking for some pie in the sky. But the Bible disagrees. Heaven is a real place. We are told it is God's dwelling place. It is where Christ is today. It is the Father's house. It's a city designed and built by God. The Bible tells us and calls it a better country. In fact, Elijah and Moses and Enoch are presently there. And the Bible sometimes refers to it as paradise. But more important than being a real place is that it's a place for new relationships. Imagine being able to talk with Adam and Eve and Moses and Daniel and David and Joseph and Samson and the Apostle Paul and all the saved of all the ages, and best of all, Jesus. You know, sometimes I think that the line to talk to Jesus is going to be so long as we all wait for a turn, but we have all eternity, so time will no longer be a problem. I think about having conversations with my guardian angel, who would tell me about the many dangers he saved me from that were unknown to me and some known. What would those conversations be like? I think about meeting again my grandmother, who first taught me about Jesus, and my little sister Patrice, whom we lost when I was 11 years old and she was 8. And my good friend Mario, who asked me to do his funeral. Oh, wow. Every now and then I would have dreams that I am in heaven and I am flying and going from place to place. Many people do not realize that the Bible speaks of other worlds, but the Apostle Paul did. So imagine visiting other planets with creatures that have never picked from their tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and telling my story of how I overcame by the blood of the Lamb. And imagine looking just like the main attraction of the universe, Jesus himself, because he promised that we are going to have glorious bodies like his. This means that humans will be really special creatures. You know, sometimes in this world, people would boast about being the look-alike for some Hollywood star. but then we would look like Jesus. The Bible says that we would reign with Christ for 1,000 years, and then we would return to this earth, but renewed by the Creator. The Old Testament prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, tell us that we would at last be able to fulfill those prophecies that Israel never did, to plant vineyards and build houses, and all the animals then will be vegetarians. So the New Jerusalem city will relocate to the earth, and we will have a city home that Jesus built for us, and a house in the country that we can build for ourselves. And the mortgage will never come due. Imagine seeing the Garden of Eden that God planted himself, even more beautiful than when he first gave the keys to our first parents. I think of mothers who would have lost their babies, who would have a chance to raise them in a perfect environment. What would those reunions be like? What would it be like to eat fruits that are not organic but heavenly, instead with renewed taste buds, that these ones that have been trained to like substandard foods? Heaven is so real that it makes this life seem imaginary. I don't know if you are old enough to remember that show called Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, narrated by Robin Leach. But as a teenager, I would watch that show with my mouth watering for just a little of the luxuries that splashed across the TV screen. Oh, but the lifestyle of the saved and the redeemed would be 1,000,000,000 times better than any billionaire in this present world. And considering the price of the ticket to get us there, that was paid with the blood of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, it's impossible to think heaven would be anything less. You know, life has its beautiful moments, but it is interrupted so often by unexpected tragedies. But someday, this life will be interrupted by eternity. And that is what my heart really longs for. What about you?